Welcome to KAWO's Ultimate Guide to China Social Media Marketing. In this video, we're going to be looking at social media metrics. And actually, I sat down with our CTO Brian van Damme to really dive into what we've learned about what you need to know. So I would say the first thing is, if you're a Western marketer, definitely put to one side your expectations of the data you're going to find available in China. We've had so many conversations and calls over the years where people say, I want to see the 3-second, 10-second, 30-second video views. Literally none of the platforms we connect to provide that data. The next big thing is demographics and targeting. In a previous video, we looked at the new Chinese privacy laws. And to be honest, even before these laws came in, you were very limited as to what you could find out about your followers. Certainly if you compare it to something like Facebook and Instagram, where you get a huge amount of data about your followers, where they're from, what they studied, what their income level is, etc. Almost none of this information is available on any of the Chinese social networks that we connect to. And even when you do get some demographic data, sometimes it's of very questionable accuracy. For example, Wechat used to tell you where your followers were from, and actually we'd see followers that were from Barbados and Andorra and Antarctica. It's because Wechat were just providing you with where the followers said they lived, not the actual location of their device. Another big challenge we see is that everything in China often comes down to sales. Now, it's often difficult to evaluate social media, which is often primarily a brand touchpoint, especially Wechat, by e-commerce metrics. Wechat is one of the main platforms for discovery, especially for luxury brands. Now, if you're evaluating your marketing efforts on Wechat by e-commerce metrics, you're going to come to the conclusion that it's not really providing any value for you. But it is actually an essential part of the customer journey and then building their relationship and their trust with your brand. So you need to look at other metrics for those touch points. One of the other things that we hear so many times is concerns over fake data. And to be honest, China isn't alone in fake data. We probably all remember the time that Justin Bieber lost 3.5 million Instagram followers. And the Chinese social networks have had their own clear-outs from time to time, and they've definitely gone to quite an extent to clamp down on the amount of fake data on their platforms. However, I would say that partly the motivation for fake data often comes from both sides. If you're just judging your marketing by a few simplistic metrics, then that's also incentivizing your teams to try and find ways to achieve those metrics that are not necessarily legitimate. We actually cover this in a little bit more detail in the guide, where we look at China's water army and just how easy it is to buy fake impressions, engagement on some of the platforms. So I would encourage any senior marketing leadership, or certainly Western marketing teams, to look at a wider set of metrics. It's a lot harder to fake a wider set of metrics. And also don't put too much emphasis on hitting very simplistic targets. Try and look at things that really add value to your business. We actually have another great interview with Nina Kong, the head of strategy for Media Monks here in China. And she talks a lot about how she works with her clients to encourage them to look at indicators of success that are more meaningful for their brands. Another thing is social listening. So there is a huge amount of opportunities for social listening in China, but I always struggle, in my experience, working with many different brands, I always struggle to understand how that delivers value for the brand. For a couple of reasons. A huge amount of what's happening on social media in China is happening in a place that you cannot monitor. It's happening on the moments feeds of Wechat. It's happening in group chats, of which you have no access to. So the data that you can get on social listening is actually not fully representative of the overall impression that people are giving or have of your brand. And then I always question, how actionable is that data? I'm not saying don't do it, but definitely focus on the metrics you do have first and see what you can learn from those before you go looking for metrics like social listening. And then finally is an obsession over competitors. At KAWO, we do provide competitor metrics for your accounts. On Wechat, we can give you 4 different metrics for your competitors on Wechat, but we can give you over 60 metrics for your own account. The metrics we can give you for your competitors are very simplistic, just simply the number of impressions and the number of likes and the number of wows on an article. Whereas if you look at your own Wechat data, you can get this huge selection of metrics that give you a lot deeper indication of how people are connecting with your content. And further on in our guide, there's actually a slide where we share our own Wechat data, and we show you some things that we were able to learn, and this is from data that you cannot get on your competitors. We once sat down with a brand, in fact, and they told us about a problem they had with their account, where it was actually very easy for them to get engagement on their account, but that wasn't in a way that was really delivering value for their brand. Now, if you were looking at them as a competitor, you wouldn't know that. You would just see that they were actually doing quite well in terms of top-line numbers, but actually it wasn't helping them achieve their business goals. So, as Jack Ma says, focus on your customers, not your competitors. Thank you for watching this video, which is part of our series covering KAWO's ultimate guide to China social media marketing. You can find the full guide at kawo.com/guide. If you want to learn more about KAWO and our platform that helps international brands manage their social media in China, then you can head to kawo.com, where you can also request a demo of our platform. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.